Mr. Cheney, thank you for your service to our country. Appreciate that. Would you comment on the situation in Iraq and what you think the direction the United States should be presently taking?
Sure. Well, the first thing I'd say about Iraq, everybody's focused in just on Iraq at this moment, but from a perspective in terms of trying to understand what's happening there and thinking about where we ought to go from there, it's important to back off a bit and take a look at some broader developments in that part of the world. You know, back at the time of 9/11, we had one place to really be concerned about, and that was Afghanistan, because that's where Osama bin Laden had gone to ground, set up training camps, was hosted by the Taliban government then in power in Afghanistan. And that was the primary focus that we were worried about in terms of the terrorist group, obviously the training of the 19 hijackers that came here armed with airline tickets and box cutters on 9/11 and killed 3,000 Americans, took down the World Trade Center, blew a big hole in the Pentagon, and would have taken out the White House or the Capitol building if it hadn't been for the courage of the passengers on Flight 93. 9/11 was crucial to understanding where we are now, in the sense that that was the first time we began to understand that this is a war. Before that, terrorism was a law enforcement problem. Somebody did something, tried to bomb the World Trade Center back in '93. It was treated as a law enforcement problem. You go out and try to find the bad guys, put them on trial, and lock them up. But when you kill 3,000 Americans here at home, as happened on 9/11, that's the worst attack in Pearl Harbor in terms of the casualties and location. And we had to recognize that we were at war. We were also deeply concerned then about the possibility that there would be a follow-on attack, and almost assured that it would be, and that the next time it would be with deadlier weapons, that we get into the area of a chemical or a biological agent or even a nuclear weapon used by a terrorist organization, Al-Qaeda or Al-Qaeda related against the United States. So if you fast forward, of course, we went into Afghanistan and took down the Taliban regime. We're still in Afghanistan today. It's very important that we continue that until we finish up our responsibilities there. The Afghans are able to guarantee they can take care of themselves. We went into Iraq partly because Saddam Hussein had a track record that went back at least a decade in relationship with Al-Qaeda. And because he was a man who had produced and used weapons of mass destruction against Iran during the Iran-Iraq war, against his own people in Halabja, where he killed thousands of his own people with chemical weapons in 1988. And we had a track record of him also trying to develop nuclear weapons. He was stopped in '81 when the Israelis took out the Syrian reactor. He was stopped in '91 in the midst of the Desert Storm when we stopped his program again. Then by the time we came forward, we received in the Bush administration, the first intelligence report we got after we got elected was on Iraq and WMD. So he had a track record that led us to believe that was the place where we had the most to worry about in terms of the connection between terrorists on the one hand and weapons of mass destruction on the other. And it's that link-up that we need to avoid. I'm still very, very worried about it today. So today, as I look at that part